want the pivot table this time to be based on my order IDs. चलो तो पहले क्या करते हैं, कंट्री को यहां डाल देते हैं, प्रोडक्ट को यहां डाल देते हैं, डेट को निकाल लेते हैं, तो मेरा कंट्री और प्रोडक्ट ऊपर आ गया। इसको भी निकाल देते हैं, नंबर ऑफ ऑर्डर्स भी निकाल देते हैं। ये सम ऑफ अमाउंट, इसको हम लोग नॉर्मल दिखाते हैं। चलिए, I got a sum of amount, I got the country, I got the product. I switch on my order ID. By default, I've told you that the order ID will always come in the value column. But I know that I never use the order ID for any calculation. It is purely just to give uniqueness to my orders. So why should I add up my order values? I will simply put it under row. As soon as I put it under row, my order IDs have come. And next to that, my total sales have come. Chali. Order ID भी आ गया, total sales भी आ गया. This is again very interesting. Where tomorrow, let's say you have got 500 orders, 500 orders अलग अलग. और आपको पता नहीं है कि कौन से ऑर्डर आईडी का कितना सेल हुआ है और कौन से प्रोडक्ट का हुआ है. एग्जाम्पल दे रहा हूं, तो मैं बोलता हूं मेरा प्रोडक्ट यार मुझे ब्रोकली का देखना है और ऑल कंट्रीज का देखना है. तो ये लीजिए, दीज आर ऑल द ऑर्डर्स आईडी वाइज ऑफ ब्रोकली का. So I know 112 is a broccoli ka order ID, 86 is also broccoli ka, 92 is also broccoli ka. I am filtering my data this time using the order ID as a option. Country का भी same way है. I can choose कि भाई मुझे यूके में ब्रोकली के ऑर्डर आईडीज कौन से हैं. द यूनाइटेड किंगडम ब्रोकली, विच आर माय ऑर्डर आईडीज. These are the order IDs along with the sales of broccoli in United Kingdom. Yes, are we clear with this option? Any questions regarding ये कैसे किया? Yeah, everybody clear? Like that, I can find out my order IDs of different countries and different products. तो यहाँ पे तो हालत खराब हो जाएगी. आप बैठ के ढूंढोगे, आप यहाँ जाके ब्रोकली करोगे, फिर ब्रोकली करने के बाद यहाँ पे आप यूके करोगे, फिर अगर मुझे ब्रोकली के साथ और कुछ देखना है फिर वापस फिल्टर यहाँ करोगे, फिर वापस यहाँ फिल्टर करोगे. इंस्टेड यहाँ पे इजियर है, जो चाहिए 1 सेकेंड में मिल जाएगा आपको. Alright, one more very interesting way of looking at pivot tables or understanding it. क्या करता हूँ मैं, ये ऑर्डर आईडी निकाल देता हूँ और इनको भी निकाल देता हूँ. नाउ व्हाट आई एम शोइंग यू इज वेरी सिंपल बट वेरी इफेक्टिव. I've got only one column right now, total sales. चलो इसको भी निकाल. I want to create a pivot table showing me a range, a price range. That means 1 to 500, 500 1 to 1000, 1000 1 to 1500, ऐसे एक range बनाना है. And that range is my price range. And I want to know that how many orders have I done in a particular price range. Not a particular price, just a price range. कि हाँ भाई 1 रुपी से लेके 500 रुपीज के बीच में मैंने कितने ऑर्डर्स किए हैं. It will help me understand my sales based on pricing. Best way to understand sales and pricing is when you have a price range and you see the number of orders that have taken place. So you understand कि कौन से प्राइस ब्रैकेट में आपके मैक्सिमम सेल्स होते हैं. वो कैसे क्रिएट करेंगे हम. साउंड्स वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड व्हेन आई एम टॉकिंग कि मुझे प्राइस रेंज चाहिए और फिर मुझे उस प्राइस रेंज के अंदर फाइंड आउट करना है कितने ऑर्डर्स हुए हैं, जिसके बेसिस पे मुझे पता चलेगा कि मेरा सेल्स कैसे चल रहा है. बट इट्स वेरी वेरी सिंपल टू क्रिएट इट. I'm going to just choose amount once and twice. Once I put the amount, again I put the amount. But this time, instead of putting the amount in values, I'm going to put the amount in rows. Why did I do that? Why did I put the amount in rows and not in values? Because now I'm not adding any amounts. I'm only creating a range, a price range. Price range is an alphanumeric or a numeric field which is not used for calculation purpose, just like your order ID. Because I need to create a price range, I moved the amount from values and have put it on the row side. And you can see over here, all my dollar prices have come. And this side in the value column, you will just see numbers without currency. No problem. So what I wanted to achieve, first, let's change this to count. There you go. I got my count. ये जो ऑर्डर आईडी है वो मेरा प्राइस रेंज है. और जो काउंट ऑफ अमाउंट है ये मेरा नंबर ऑफ ऑर्डर्स. सी ऑल आई डिड इज जस्ट चेंज द नेम. हेडिंग चेंज किया मैंने, इसका वैल्यूएशन चेंज कर दिया, इसको मैंने कर दिया इनटू नंबर काउंट. एंड दिस is now no more used for calculation purposes. It is used only to define a range. ये rows में आ गया. तो यहाँ पे बता रहा है $135 का एक ही ऑर्डर है. अभी मुझे सबका एक एक ऑर्डर दिखा रहा है वो. Just imagine, हर एक इमेजिन ना एक एक ऑर्डर है सबका. कमाल है. कभी कभी 2-3 भी होंगे पर ये केस में है जो डेटा हमको दिया है इसने, और purposely he has shown only one order. No problem. You might have two orders worth 135 or worth 136 क्योंकि शॉप में सेम हो सकता है ना सेल्स. I want to convert this to range as I told you. I'm going to right click over here and I have an option known as field settings. Correct? यहां से कुछ होगा क्या? नहीं. Field settings is not when you are trying to create a price range. I had taught you grouping, if you remember. The first grouping I taught you was for suppliers. जहां हमको ऑप्शन दिया उसने 3 नाम डालने. The second grouping that I taught you was of date, where we could group it into quarters. And the third option of grouping that we get is of range. As soon as I have some values in my row column, automatically my grouping changes to the range. He's saying your range starts at 107 and ends at 9990. Automatically he got me these values. मैं थोड़ी लाया. But I want to create a range starting with 1 and ending at, let's say, 10,000. The most expensive product I will be selling will be worth 10,000 rupees. And let's say my lowest product could start with 1 also. So I created my starting range 1, ending range 10,000. Then he's asking me, how do you want the range to be divided? Do you want to be divided in 500 lots, 1,000 lots, 1,500 lots? ऐसे एक काम करो, उसको 500 के lots में कर दो. That means every range should be of 500. Look at that, how beautifully it has come. It's telling me in 1 to 500 rupee range, you have carried out 12 orders. In 2001 to 500, you have done 14 orders. That means in this range, from 3,500 to 4,500, I have created 15 orders, which is a good number. And the highest I've got is in this range, 7,001 to 7,500. I can sort this order from largest to smallest. Now I have even a better picture. That the most popular price range is the 7,001 to 7,500. That means this price range mein my products are selling the best. And the worst is the 9,500 to 10,000 price range. So I have got an existing pivot table where I've got the countries and I've got the products, and obviously I've got a filter of categories. So let's say all kar deta hu beginner. So this is what I've got right now, and I say, okay, this is my pivot table. On the basis of this, I need to create a chart. So I'll click anywhere in the pivot table, and under analyze, I have an option known as pivot chart. So the pivot chart का option मेरे पास directly है under analyze for the pivot table. I click on this, and automatically Excel gives me a chart which recommended by them that yes, this is a correct chart. The data will be projected correctly using this chart, and I say okay to it. and I get a pivot chart. So I say, very good, looks good. I got a pivot chart. I will go to design and I will move this chart onto a new sheet. So I get a proper single page with the chart on it. Now the pivot chart basically has the advantage of having filtering system inside the chart. I don't need to go back to my table if I want to change certain elements of my chart. I can do it from here itself. A regular chart does not have any kind of a filter that we can implement within the chart. So what I mean by that is that if this is a chart that I have, this chart has already got filters. एक मेरा category है, एक मेरा country है, और एक मेरा product है. Suppose I decide I want to see only vegetables. So I choose the category vegetables. Automatically you will see your product has changed to vegetables. Automatically हो गया, because मैंने यहाँ पे category change किया. And while I'm doing these changes over here, my pivot table also is changing. देखिए मेरा pivot table भी change हो गया. इधर vegetables आ गया, beans, broccoli और carrot. Then I say okay, vegetables में भी मुझे सब नहीं देखने हैं. और गलती से बाय मिस्टेक मैंने एप्पल और बनाना चूज कर दिया, गलती से मेरा चार्ट ब्लैंक हो गया, बिकॉज एप्पल और बनाना is not a vegetable. Automatically the whole chart disappeared. This is the reason why people use pivot charts. They are more powerful as they will not display wrong data to you. So I'll go back, I'll say अरे गड़बड़ हो गया, चलो मैं beans और broccoli try करता हूँ, and my chart is back. Now my chart is back, showing me a comparison only between beans and broccoli in all the different countries. Same way I can any given point of time change my countries and say I want to see the sales of beans and broccoli only in European countries. So I choose France, Germany and UK. There you have it. This is the sales of beans and broccoli only in France, Germany and UK. So within seconds, I'm able to create multiple charts. You must have realized that. एक क्लिक इधर किया, एक क्लिक उधर किया, ये चार्ट चेंज हो गया, दूसरा चार्ट आ गया. Just like a normal chart, I've got chart elements here also. And here also I can choose data labels and say चलो outside end पे data label दे दो. So मुझे value पता चल रहा है कि भाई हाँ, what are the values. Chart को title भी दे सकते हैं हम, just like a normal chart. कि भाई this is sales. Sales chart, for example. I can complete this chart with all the elements that are required by getting the axis also. दोनों axis भी डाल सकता हूँ. मुझे यहाँ पे ये axis बताएगा countries, और ये axis मुझे बता रहा है sales. There it is. I have a complete chart now, showing me the sales, showing me the countries, प्रोडक्ट तो लिखा हुआ है वैसे ही, कंट्री कैटेगरी ऊपर है. दिस इज हाउ अ पिवट चार्ट इज यूज्ड. People like it because of the flexibility it has. Any given point of time मैं फ्रूट कर दूंगा, फिर ब्लैंक हो जाएगा, यहाँ पे सिलेक्ट ऑल कर दूंगा, मुझे सिर्फ फ्रूट्स दिखाएगा. वही 3 कंट्री का दिखा रहा है, फ्रांस, जर्मनी, यूनाइटेड किंगडम. Only difference is whenever I change my charts, values disappear. You must have realized that. That's the only problem. So you need to go back and just switch on your data labels to bring it back. Otherwise, the chart works beautifully. You can have various combinations. Within minutes, you can have so many charts. And each chart can be printed separately. Very neat and clean. This is how a pivot chart gets created using a pivot table. This all is fine. I could create a pivot chart. I can do the changes. I can put my axis. I can put my figures. I can do everything with this, whatever I want to do. But tomorrow, if I am on this sheet 2 and I say I want this chart and I want some more charts with it, how do we create that in case of a pivot table? What I mean by that is very simple. I want country-wise chart. This is what? This is one chart showing me all the countries. देखिए इसमें I can see all my countries. What if I want to create one chart for Australia, one for Canada, one for France, one for Germany? And I also want this chart. चलिए, how do we do that in case of a pivot chart? Because pivot chart has already got a filter of country. So if somebody says you want country chart, he'll just choose Australia. हो गया ऑस्ट्रेलिया, बन गया ऑस्ट्रेलिया का चार्ट. This is only Australia. These products being sold in Australia. ऐसे per country का चार्ट बन सकता है. But you'll say you want the charts to be visible on one sheet. एक ये बड़ा चार्ट होना चाहिए, फिर नीचे individual product, individual country के charts होने चाहिए. You want to create something like that. Let's see if it's possible using a pivot table. So I create a new sheet, a blank sheet called sheet 3. And I say I want to move this chart as an object in sheet 3. God. See what it did? Cramped up the whole chart. Looks very cluttered. So many figures. ठीक है, आ तो गया है. And then I say I want to create one more chart. I go back to the pivot table, analyze, and I say I want to create a pivot chart. This time I want to create a pie chart, for example, and I say okay, it creates a pie chart for me. I say I want to move this chart also to sheet number 3. आ गया. Very good. So what I was telling you is happened. I have one chart with all countries and one chart with a single country. So ऐसे चलो मुझे और countries के भी चाहिए. वो कैसे बनेगा? वो तो एक काम करते हैं, इसको कॉपी करके पेस्ट कर देते हैं. तो एक और चार्ट आ गया. मिल गए मुझे 2 चार्ट। तो मैं बोलता हूँ मुझे ये चार्ट का प्रोडक्ट चेंज करना है या कंट्री चेंज करना हो, ये मेरे को प्रोडक्ट वाइज दे रहा है। तो मतलब ठीक है, प्रोडक्ट वाइज करते हैं चलो, मुझे सिर्फ बीन्स का देखना है। कैटेगरी ऑल कर देता हूँ। क्या हुआ? What happened to this chart? I had copied this chart and I pasted it. I didn't even touch this chart. But as soon as I changed this product to beans, लिखा हुआ एप्पल है मगर दिखा रहा मुझे बीन्स का डेटा है। इधर सिर्फ बीन्स आ रहा है, बाकी सब चला गया। That means one thing is for sure. One pivot table can have only one pivot chart. That is one problem when you are working with pivot tables. One pivot table can have only one pivot chart. These charts cannot be created with one pivot table. Next question that arises is then what do we do, sir? What is the next step? If I need multiple charts, what's my choice? You have only one choice. You will have to go to your data and create a new pivot table. I can't even copy and paste this pivot table because then both the data is going to be reflecting together. For every single chart that I create, I will need a new pivot table. That means if I need pie chart, this is my thing. It asks me, where do you want to put the pivot table? Do you want to put it on a new worksheet? I say, no, I want to put on an existing sheet. Where is my existing sheet? It is sheet 3. And in sheet 3, where do you want to place it? N4. आ गया मेरा नवा pivot table. Correct? अभी अगर मुझे यहाँ नहीं चाहिए, ऐसे नहीं, मुझे यहाँ नहीं चाहिए pivot table. मुझे pivot table सब एक साथ चाहिए. मेरा pivot table sheet 2 में है. मैं जितने pivot table है वो ये sheet में बनाऊंगा. ये sheet में नहीं बनाऊंगा. ये sheet में I will place only my charts. That's the plan. So this sheet will be a sheet of pivot tables and this sheet will be a sheet of charts. So I'll go back and say, okay, if that's the case, then let's insert a pivot table and let's choose sheet number 2. Let's choose the location and bring it there. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm putting it over here. I'm putting the amounts over here. And I'm putting the countries over here. And I'm putting the products over here. तो मेरा pivot table exactly same लग रहा है. इसमें और इसमें कुछ फर्क ही नहीं. पर देखो, इस pivot table को लेके मैं एक चार्ट क्रिएट कर रहा हूँ. मैंने एक नवा चार्ट क्रिएट कर दिया यूजिंग दिस pivot table. और अब इसको मैं मूव करता हूं इन शीट 3. आ गया. This sheet of mine has got only charts. If a person has to see, he can see all the charts in this particular sheet. अब यहाँ पे चेंज करते हैं हम. Nothing happened to this chart. Not only that, the word beans also came automatically on top. So this is the best way to create multiple charts on one sheet. Correct? And each one is independent of the other because they both have independent pivot tables. So now I've got a data in my sheet. You should be able to see it. The data is already converted to a pivot table. It's got two filters. One is the country filter, and the second is my row levels, which is all the fruits and vegetables that I am selling. Now, when I'm analyzing data, there are multiple options or multiple categories which I look at when I want to analyze certain data that I have in a pivot table. To help me analyze data, there is something which we call slicers. So under the analyze button over here on the top, there is something known as insert slicer. If I click on insert slicer, he's asking me what do you want to show in your slicer. So I say I want to show the countries in my slicer. Okay, no problem. So he creates a slicer with the names of the different countries. Now when I click on any one country, see what happens. So interesting, isn't it? By clicking on United States, automatically my table changed or the data changed based on United States, Germany, Canada. Then you say, okay, sir, I want to see Australia and UK. It allows me only one entry at a time. Okay. So what if I want to see Australia and UK? Then what do I do? There's an option here known as multi-select. When I switch on my multi-select on my slicer, I can choose the countries that I want to see. This is Canada and France. Canada. This is US, UK. इन सबको मैं सब्ट्रैक्ट करता जा रहा हूँ. This is Australia. I want to see Australia and New Zealand. Now, this is my total sales in Australia and New Zealand. This is possible in a slicer. Can be done from here also. But if I don't have a slicer, here you will not know which countries I've chosen till you don't go back here and see. New Zealand को tick mark किया और Australia को tick mark किया. यहाँ पे नहीं पता चल रहा कौन से countries है ये. But slicer is showing you the two countries जिसका ये total है. This is the advantage of having a slicer. Now, I can have multiple slices. So I can have one more slicer. This time, let's say product. So I've got one more slicer. These basically work like remotes. जैसे रिमोट कंट्रोल का बटन होता है वैसा हुआ है. अभी सब सिलेक्टेड है, मैं इनको निकाल रहा हूँ. सिर्फ एप्पल है. दिस इज एप्पल, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, न्यूजीलैंड. बीन्स, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, न्यूजीलैंड. कैरेट्स, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, न्यूजीलैंड. ऑरेंज, ऑस्ट्रेलिया, न्यूजीलैंड. When I go to beans, even though I've selected Australia and New Zealand, the beans which you're seeing actually is only of Australia, because New Zealand I have not supplied only. How I know? The color of blue on New Zealand is faint, whereas the color of Australia is very prominent. So I know that I'm selling beans, but I'm selling to Australia currently, not to New Zealand. I can analyze that by looking at the two slices together. Broccoli, Australia and New Zealand, yes. Carrots, again, I'm supplying to Australia, but I'm not supplying to New Zealand, because it's showing me the difference in the color. Like this, a slicer is a very effective tool when you're looking at analyzing data. I could have multiple selections here also. I want to know in Australia and New Zealand, the apple and the orange. Or I want only one country, New Zealand, apple and orange. New Zealand beans, carrot and mango are coming faint. You can see they are grayed out. That means New Zealand में कोई beans का supply नहीं हो रहा है, carrots का भी नहीं हो रहा है, mango का भी नहीं हो रहा है. Orange का apple को निकाल देता हूँ. Now see, it's showing blank. In New Zealand, there is no supply only of these three things. Automatic my data is showing blank. Suddenly you realize, अरे broccoli का चाहिए, आ गया New Zealand broccoli. Like this, you can analyze data with different combinations. Very easy to use, very effective, and very useful. So slicers are an excellent tool for analyzing data. My sheet 1 does not have a tax ka column, but I want to add a tax to my pivot table, and the tax which I want to add is a temporary tax. That means it is not a permanent fixture in my data. It is temporary. कि हाँ भाई अभी के लिए 5% टैक्स ऐड कर दो और उसका प्रिंट आउट निकाल दो. That's what a person has told you to do. Example यही है suppose. So when I go back to my original pivot table, I go to analyze, I go to fields. Over here there's an option known as calculated field. That means it allows me to create a field which is not existing in my data, but it has to be a calculated field. Normal field नहीं डाल सकते हो आप. Normal field आगे को मतलब ही नहीं है, because data तो सब एक sheet से आता है pivot table में. So I'm putting a calculated field, for example, over here. So give me a minute. And I say, okay, I want to create a new field which is going to have a particular formula. So the field name I say, for example, it is tax. तो मेरा field name tax है. And for that I'm going to apply a formula. Now there may be certain sales which are in a particular bracket which does not require it to be taxed. ये तो होता ही कभी कभी बिजनेस में कि यार अगर इनवॉइस वैल्यू इतना है तो टैक्स लगेगा, इतना नहीं है तो टैक्स नहीं लगेगा। ये एग्जाम्पल, टिपिकली ये एग्जाम्पल है कि आपका इनवॉइस वैल्यू अगर 1 लाख के ऊपर है तो टैक्स करोगे आप, 1 लाख के नीचे है तो आप टैक्स नहीं करोगे। दैट्स द एग्जाम्पल। सो हियर आई एम गोइंग टू से ओके इक्वल्स टू इफ over here I've got the existing fields of my pivot table, so I'm just going to choose that if amount, so I double clicked on this amount and it came over there in the formula, is greater than 1 lakh, then what I want to do, then I want amount into, let's say 3% in this case. Otherwise, I want a 0 to come as my answer. So I have created a field with this condition. Once I finish writing this formula, I'm just going to click on the add button. When I click on the add button, my calculated field appears in the list of fields. देखिए यहाँ पे आ गया tax. And I click on OK. So I get a new column in Excel which shows me sum of tax, and it's giving me 0 because the total sales is less than 1 lakh. So now you know how to create a field with calculation which is not there in your data. देखो यहाँ पे है ही नहीं, यहाँ है ही नहीं tax का column. So a lot of times people create calculated fields in pivot tables which is not a permanent field but a temporary one used for a particular purpose, after which that field is removed. Or you can also keep it as a permanent fixture. ये यहाँ पड़ा ही रहेगा, आप सेव कर दोगे फाइल, ये पड़ा रहेगा जब तक till you don't physically switch the tax button off from here, it will not go out of a pivot table. यहाँ से मैं कुछ भी करूं नहीं जाएगा. See, I'm trying to delete it. नहीं जाएगा. There's no way. You'll not be able to alter this data only. I'm trying to type something. नहीं करने देगा. Because this field is based on this particular aspect of a pivot table where it has been permanently put as a field over here known as tax. This has been created using the internal formula system of pivot table known as calculated field, which can only be altered over here. That means it can be modified over here or it can be deleted from here. Are we clear? Yes. So these fields are created which become permanent aspects of a pivot table in spite of it not being there in your original data. मेरे original data में ये नहीं है, फिर भी मैंने ये एक permanent kind of a thing create किया हुआ है. अगर use नहीं करना है आप बस इसको यहाँ से off कर दीजिए, चला जाएगा. use करना है on कर दीजिए, आ जाएगा. So simple how we can use our calculated field.